Don't be petty, don't be shallow, don't even think about any of the results, statistics, or any other performance analytics. Ask yourself, when in isolation was the last time you saw a Pittsburgh quarterback making throws like that? Good morning to you. Good Monday morning from Denver. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. I hope you'll check those out as well. Steelers 16, Broncos 6. Please, please, please ride with me on this one. Just through the segment, and you can go right back to complaining about whatever it is that you were complaining about, especially as it related to the second half here yesterday. This quarterback was making some throws. Justin Fields' numbers would not blow anybody away. But here again, we're talking about in isolation. Steelers were penalized 10 times. The Steelers' offensive line couldn't block anything, especially in the second half. The Steelers' wide receiver room is still occupied by exactly one individual who can make plays or even get open at the NFL level. And yet, all Fields did was protect the football for a second straight week, play almost completely mistake-free, and I'm talking about any kind of mistakes. And oh, by the way, you know what else he did? He emerged 2-0 because the Steelers emerged 2-0. And as I was sharing with you on our most recent episode last Friday, the one that was about how this is becoming Fields' team, there's also an intangible element to it. When you win in football, at any level of football, you win together, just like you lose together. This was Fields' response when he was asked what he feels like he's brought to the Steelers since he's been here.
Just the leader that I am, and I think that's the biggest thing, the leader and the person that I am. There's always going to be adversity throughout a game, and just how I handle that, how I bring others up, and how I just kind of communicate with guys and kind of encourage guys as the game goes along. So yeah.
That's tremendous, but that's not unexpected. That's who he's been since the first day he's arrived. He hasn't made any kind of fuss about who's the starter, who's the backup, what he thinks about Russell Wilson or whatever. He was the one joking after this game about how the players and everybody presented what he called a petty game ball to Wilson for being in the house for a victory against his former team. But he isn't coming close to engaging in any of that kind of stuff. And that, it turns out, has been the smart approach, because now all of those questions, those types of questions, get aimed at who they should get aimed at, and that, of course, is the head coach. Now, Tomlin's made clear that he's never going to make pronouncements like that immediately after a game, so it didn't even come up after this one. Parenthesis here, by the way, he had to crack a joke about that on his way off the podium stage, about how he really appreciated not being asked about any hypotheticals, end parentheses. But this was what Tomlin did say when he was just asked about Fields.
I think with each passing day, I'm learning more about him. I just think that there's no substitute for a relationship. You go through something together, you learn about yourselves and each other. And so it's just been a good process. Looking forward to it. Continuing.
There it is again. Leadership, intangibles, confidence, relationship, eager to learn more, if you pick that up at the end. So I'm now going to enter, my third consecutive week of saying to you that there is no quarterback controversy. A lot of fans, and I'm sure a lot of media, are going to try to drum one up over the next couple of days, especially before we see how Wilson's calf responds to the first practice or two. But before you, and I'm talking here specifically to you, fall for any of it, consider the alternative. Consider the Steelers coming out of the tunnel at Acrisure Stadium, home opener, a quality opponent coming in the Chargers, a quality quarterback coming in. This will be the first one they face, by the way, in Justin Herbert. And the Steelers send Wilson through the tunnel while everyone else is aware that it was the other guy who got the first 2 wins and who, by the way, both threw and took care of the ball way better than anyone thought he could. That's not going to happen. Fields is going to start against the Chargers. And at some point, dare I say, the management of the Steelers, even Tomlin, are going to have to begin weighing something that they never usually weigh, and that's the franchise's longer-term future. If this quarterback continues to perform as he has, if he continues to fulfill some of that potential everyone always knew he had, and he's already here, and he's happy to be here, and he's becoming a leader here, and you have no one signed for 2025 and beyond, yeah, that's going to start mattering. When we come back, J1Q. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents injured people in automobile accidents, workers' compensation cases, and medical malpractice claims. The attorneys at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George pride themselves in doing what they say they're going to do. It's important to them that when they make you a promise, they keep that promise. And this law firm has been keeping promises for over 80 years. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George has been AV rated. That's the highest rating a law firm can receive for legal ability and ethics. And the lawyers at the firm have been designated super lawyers, that's a real thing, for over 15 years. Rare combination there. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them at lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. Again, that's 888-842-5454. Today's J1Q, and normally I don't take these ones, but after this performance here yesterday by the officiating crew, I'm going to do that by Clete Blakeman's crew that saw 20 total penalties for 202 yards called between the two teams. Kent asks DK, I know you say that they're not picking on the Steelers, and I agree that it's just bad officiating, but why is it so dang lopsided against the Steelers? It's so frustrating. I mean, TJ's practically tackled on his rush attempts, and nothing happens. Broderick Jones barely gets a piece of a guy's jersey who's going to have no impact on the play, and they throw the flag and nullify a big gain. And it happens so much. And Kent, I'm going to respond to you. First off, respectfully, lovingly. I know you've listened to the show for a while because you've sent J1Q entries in before. And I'm here to tell you that when you're watching the game, sit down for this, it's breaking news, you're really into it. And you're so into it and so emotional that you can get irrational. And you're not necessarily going to check the numbers, the data, even the film to see how things have actually broken down. Now, yesterday's game, I have the pages here right in front of me. The Steelers were penalized 10 times for 78 yards. The Broncos were penalized 9 times for 124 yards, almost 50 additional yards. Oh, you can say, oh, well, that's because of those long-range DPIs, a defensive pass interference. Yeah, and those were some pretty significant penalties to assess. 50 more yards against the Broncos. But yet, there's still that feeling, why are they against us? Why are they this or that? The reason that they don't call them against people who are trying to block TJ is the same as it's been for the last 2 or 3 years now, and that's that they're trying to minimize the effect of edge rushers in general. Why? Because they would rather see quarterbacks get protected. Why? Because Roger Goodell listens to the owners who are now putting $50, $60 million a year into Dak Prescott and the like, and they want to see those investments. And that's how they see them. They're $250 million investments get protected, literally protected. That means more to them than whether or not TJ sets sack records. So, yes, the officials were bad. And I'm underscoring that now, and I'm repeating it now. Also repeating that Blakeman's crew is one of the most over-officious, if not the most over-officious in the league. As soon as they take the field, you should know that there's going to be yellow laundry all over the grass. They call everything that they even think looks like holding or feels like holding. They're obsessed with holding calls. 13 total holding calls in this game. They're bad, but they're not biased. They can't be biased. If you give it even a sliver of thought, you'd realize it before the next time it even crosses your cranium. Just try to picture the scenario in which all of the officials are in one room in that stadium before the game. They're talking to each other. They're preparing for certain situations that they might face. They'll even mention some players or some team tendencies or some things that coaches will complain about. But now try to picture when the one dude in there stands up and says, you know what? I hate the Steelers. Let's stick it to them. I mean, this is so silly. I can't believe that it still comes up. It's not even conspiratorial. It's just plain stupid. I'm not talking about you, Kent. You acknowledge that it's not a willful bias. But I see, hear, and read this constantly, and it just floors me. And even if it doesn't come out that there's some sort of, I don't know, we all hate the Steelers, so we're going to make calls against them for whatever reason. If that doesn't come out in the moment, and by the way, it never does because it doesn't exist, what do you think would keep somebody from telling these types of tales once they're out of the league or once they're done officiating? Do you know how much money they'd get? What kind of headlines they'd get? Or if you want to take the conspiracy thing full blown here, you could, say that how much they could blackmail the NFL for. Crazy. It's like some of the political stuff. Look, if they're bad, they're bad. And just like the game that was played here yesterday, they were bad, affecting both teams. And they actually hurt the Broncos more, significantly more than they hurt the Steelers. I appreciate the question anyway, Kent. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. And guess what? We've got a double shot coming up today and every weekday at 4 p.m. Same place you find this, but also in video form. Be sure to check it out, DK's Double Shot, at 4 p.m. Eastern.